Money Radio, good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. Joining us now, Laura Bramnick from TalkRealEstateAZ.com. TalkRealEstateAZ.com. Laura is an attorney, she's a real estate agent, she's a consumer advocate, and she can help you when it comes to residential, commercial, or land transactions. Laura holds an active Arizona real estate license, licensed to the State Bar of Arizona, specializing in real estate. But really more important, I think, you're a consumer advocate. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Sinclair.
You really do work for your clients and try and get the best possible deal and remedy for them.
I do definitely try to do that. And, you know, if they're wronged by, let's say, a big corporation, it infuriates me because I know how hard it is for someone that doesn't have a legal background to, quote, fight City Hall.
It really is.
And I've been there. In other words, even though I'm a lawyer, I've had personal situations where I've had to fight a big company, and I know how hard it is.
If you have a situation and you need somebody on your side, you can contact Laura at 480-624-2705. 480-624-2705. And of course, all the contact information is at TalkRealEstateAZ.com. Let's talk about a situation that can be problematic, kind of fighting a big corporation, as you just said. A lot of people have had financial difficulties. A lot of people have had to go through bankruptcy.
Yes, and yeah, especially, you know, when we had the real estate market bubble, and the entire economy, not just of Arizona, but nationally, was affected. A lot of people not only lost equity in their homes,
right,
but they lost their jobs or were reduced their hours, or, you know, then depending on what your skills were, a lot of people had trouble finding a new job. You know, people who maybe aren't that skilled in technology or some of the newer fields maybe had a harder time. So you hear that statistic when you hear the Department of Labor that people who have stopped looking for work.
That's right.
And so, you know, the bankruptcies were very, very high several years ago.
And the idea behind a bankruptcy is you get a fresh start.
Yes, and you can be overwhelmed with a medical bill or a loss on a piece of property,
Sure.
especially like land where you're not protected by the Arizona anti-deficiency laws.
And when that happens, then the creditor can put a lien on the property?
What happens is the lien occurs if the creditor sues you. And so they basically sue you for money that you owe them, and if they get a judgment in their favor, which most of the time they do, if you've borrowed the money and you didn't pay it back, this can be a credit card, it can be a mortgage company, a lender, and so once they get a judgment, then they record it in such a way that it becomes a lien on your property.
Okay.
And in bankruptcy, many times you can keep your property.
Right.
You know, so don't assume that you're giving up that because you had to file bankruptcy.
But if someone goes through bankruptcy, can that wipe the lien off the property?
It does not automatically wipe the lien off. It's evidence that once you get discharged, the lien needs to be removed.
Okay.
But I've come across some situations where, especially in a Chapter 13, where Chapter 13, instead of a quick discharge, maybe taking 6 months from start to finish,
right,
you end up on a payment plan.
A reorganization.
Yeah, from 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And in some cases, you pay back all the debt. In some cases, you pay back part of the debt. And in some cases, it's a combination of the two.
Right.
So you make your payments, let's say, every month for 3 years. And then, let's say you get discharged, and a year after that, you want to decide to sell your property.
Okay.
And you get a buyer.
And all of a sudden you find out there's still a lien on the property.
That's correct. And you, not being a lawyer, don't realize that it hasn't been removed. The bankruptcy court doesn't monitor that. It's not required under our bankruptcy laws. So what happens is, now, let's say it was a credit card debt, and you made your payments on time, and the trustee has discharged you.
Right.
Because technically, even though you've made your payments, until you're discharged, nothing can happen.
Right.
So then you contact your creditor, and your creditor says, oh, I've sold that loan. I don't have record of that loan anymore. You know, and
right.
so then you start to go, you go in circles, because one person tells you to talk to another person, because then maybe you contact the attorney who handled the lawsuit for the original creditor.
Right.
And the attorney says, well, I don't handle that file anymore. You know, that company's based in Colorado, and we'll, you know, now that the Arizona deal is done, we're done, kind of thing.
Please tell me there's some sort of remedy here.
Well, there is a remedy. Unfortunately, if you can't get it resolved yourself, in order to sell your property, you'll have to hire a lawyer. But there are two Arizona statutes that are applicable that help consumers. One says that the creditor or the creditor's lawyer are required to immediately remove the lien. If they don't, what I recommend to everybody is send written notice right away, as soon as the discharge is done. Check to see if the lien is there. Once you send written notice to the creditor and the creditor's lawyer, I recommend both, but either one, then they have 20 days to remove the lien, and if not, you can sue them for $1,000 or triple damages, whichever is greater, and get your attorney's fees.
Okay.
So unfortunately, it requires some additional work, but at
But
least...
otherwise, you might not have a sale of a property.
Right, I mean, it definitely can delay the sale, but there is a remedy.
Okay.
There is a remedy. And usually if they get a lawyer's letter threatening, you know, they figure out how to find the file and get it done. But when somebody who's not represented calls,
Right.
they kind of just push them off.
Sure.
And I have that happen even sometimes when I call. You know, sometimes I have to escalate. And, you know, sometimes I have to file a formal complaint.
Also, real important to maintain all the documentation involved in a bankruptcy case.
Yes.
Or in a delinquent payment where there's been a judgment,
Correct.
where there might be a lien involved.
Correct.
And do it before you get ready to sell that property.
Oh yeah, you want to do it as soon as your bankruptcy is discharged. You want to double check to make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And you can have a title company do a search for relatively low cost.
Yeah, and you can kind of guide folks through that process and help them out. Make sure everything's right before they go to sell the property. And you can help with selling the property too.
I can help with selling the property, correct?
Yeah, Laura Bramnick, a consumer advocate.
That's me.
480-624-2705. TalkRealEstateAZ.com, that's the website. TalkRealEstateAZ.com, and that's how you can get in touch with Laura Bramnick. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Laura.
Thanks, Sinclair.